would say one of the biggest problems right now is I can't tell you how much vaccine we have.
This is the L2C Media Network. We're going to have to go a little silent on the background. That is Sports Final. I'm Harry von Stuttgart, and we got a little snowstorm going to hit us. We'll give you an update on that and a whole lot more. It's sports. Here's Steve. Thank you, Harry. Good evening, everybody from, oh boy. Let me tell you something. When you're when you get ideas in your head, make sure the ideas are good. I mean, we decided we needed a tarp over our roof here at the complex, and well, I thought it was a good idea, you know, temporarily put bricks on it to keep it up. It's doing a good job, but I'll be glad when we can screw some of the parts up. We need about a couple more tarps, so tomorrow's going to be a fun day. And Wednesday, I got a little eye appointment to attend, and my eyes are going to get dilated, which means, oh boy, what a last week of January I'm having. Well, we hope you're having a better one. Yeah, I'm doing okay. But I just want to you know, I don't know, just do what I love to do for a living, entertain you all, and just enjoy life. It is worth living after all, isn't it? Yes, it is. So, what is life but a sport? And what do? We report it. Tonight, sort of got a mild day of sports to bring you. Let's do so right now, ending the monologue. It's 41 minutes past the hour of 11 o'clock, and we are on, as usual, 11:35. We're a little late because I had to check everything outside. It's holding up. Good luck for everybody. Usually we would start, you know, with a couple of headlines and go to the scores, but we're going to go fully into headlines then scores. Let's start off with the NBA. And, oh boy, Shaquille O'Neal making the news again as I raise the microphone to a level that can be heard. There we go. Okay. Can you guys hear? There we go. There we go. Oh. Okay. Well, Shaquille O'Neal, once again, is doubling. He's never been particularly supportive of the generational players that has followed him. Feuds with other big men like Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, and Rudy Gobert have become common for the current TNT broadcaster and Hall of Fame center. But, oh boy, his criticism reached a new tet. In a recent interview with Utah Jazz guard Donovan Mitchell, speaking to Mitchell on the NBA on TNT, and a point of fact inside the NBA, O'Neal told him that you don't have what it takes to get to the next level, end quote, and justified statement by suggesting that he wanted Mitchell to hear it as a form of motivation. Now, Shaq has been roundly criticized for the interview, with both fans and modern stars like Kevin Durant and LeBron James speaking on defense of Mitchell. But rather than apologize for his statement, O'Neal doubled down on it. Tonight, O'Neal posted an Instagram slideshow showcasing former teammates Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, Steve Nash, Gary Payton, Penny Hardaway, and LeBron James, with a caption that read, quote, "This is what greatness at the guard position looks like. I played with the best ever to do it. You know, I know what best looks like. Hashtag don't have to hate. Y'all know I got G14 classification to say what I say." End quote. Now, the post was strange on a number of levels. James criticized O'Neal for what he said to Mitchell, yet he appears in the slideshow. While Mitchell is not nearly as accomplished, he is frequently compared to Wade, who also shows up. It should also be noted that the 24-year-old Mitchell is in only his fourth NBA season and is currently leading a contender. He may not be the equal of the players shown yet, but suggesting that he doesn't have a chance to get there, not good. O'Neal is hardly known for his restraint. He frequently feuded with opponents, even teammates, as a player, and now that he's carried over into his broadcasting career, he's seemingly committed to his anti-Mitchell take. But if the young Jazz star continues to grow at the rate that he has so far, Shaq's going to eat those words. And we hope so. By the way, everybody wonders, who's a wrestling fan, what happened to the feud between Jade, a supposed friend of Shaquille O'Neal's, and Brandy Rhodes, the wife and one of the head folks over at the wife of Cody Rhodes and one of the folks behind the scenes of AEW. Well, here's the reason that feud was pulled. In case you didn't know, Brandy is expecting Cody's child. That's right, she's pregnant. So they had to sort of postpone that feud. But Wednesday, Shaq's going to have a few words to say about Cody on AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be fun. 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Wednesday night on TNT. Right now, let's keep going. And I don't know if it's the Saban mystique or what, but former Jacksonville Jaguars head coach Doug Marrone, well, he's making a return to his college football roots as the offensive line coach at Alabama. The school announced on Monday Marrone will take over the spot left vacant by Kyle Flood, who left to join Steve Sarkisian's staff at Texas in the same position. Now, Marrone spent 4 seasons as coach of the Jaguars, first joining the organization in 2015 as an assistant head coach and offensive line coach before being promoted to, what else? Interim head coach. In 2016, after firing of Gus Bradley and becoming the full-time coach after a season. From 2017 to 2020, Marrone compiled a 23-43 record, the highlight of which being a trip to the AFC Championship game in 2017. The low light being a 1-15 season recently completed that led to his ouster and the eventual hire of Urban Meyer as the new coach. Now, prior to his stint in the Ville, Marrone made the jump from being the coach at Syracuse 2009 to 2012 to taking over the Buffalo Bills. He led the Orange to some of the most successful seasons in a decade, including a share of the Big East Championship. In 2012, Marrone went 15-17 in 2 years with the Bills, but opted out of his contract after the 2014 season when there was a change in ownership and maybe philosophy. Now, the loss of Flood was one of many for Saban's title-winning staff in 2020. Sarkisian also took special teams coordinator Jeff Banks with him to Texas, and running backs coach Charles Huff was named head coach at Marshall. Flood's departure was significant considering that group was named the Joe Moore Award winners as the best offensive line in college football. Now, much like Bill O'Brien's reported hire to replace Sarkisian as offensive coordinator, Saban tapping Marrone is the mutually beneficial agreement that brings experience from the highest levels of the game to Tuscaloosa, while allowing those coaches to work with the best players in college football in pursuit of nothing more than national championships. We got to agree on that. Yes, indeed. You think somewhere the Spartans of Michigan State are sort of kicking themselves in the head? about about what they did. Nick Saban was the coach of the Michigan State Spartans, and then left for greener pastures. Had a taste of the National Football League, but returned to college football and never looked back. Of course not. He's won what? 7, 10 national titles. Wow. Anyway, let's go to the NBA. Then we'll get everything done. Boy. Boys will be boys. This, well, literally hurt. Jamal Murray was having one of his best games of the season as his Denver Nuggets battled the Dallas Mavericks. He made 7 of his first 11 shots for 16 points to go along with 3 rebounds and 2 assists as his Nuggets built a 7-point lead against the Mavericks. But he was ejected for somewhat of an unusual foul, shall we say. The play came in the third quarter. Tim Hardaway Jr. just made a tip shot and was guarding Murray on the other end. Murray ran into Hardaway and fell to the ground. When he got back up, he appeared to hit Hardaway in the groin and was quickly ejected. The referees defined the flagrant 2 foul as being unnecessary and excessive contact to Hardaway's groin. Ow. Denver managed to hang on for the win against Dallas, but the story of the game was Murray's ejection. While players occasionally get hit in that area inadvertently, rarely do you see a flagrant 2 call assessed for such a play. The closest major moment that comes to mind is Draymond Green hitting LeBron James in the groin during Game 4 of the 2016 NBA Finals. That play was only called a flagrant 1, though, and Green was only suspended because he had accumulated so many flagrant fouls, it was mandatory. Murray likely won't be suspended for the play, but it will still remain one of the more infamous moments of his young career. Shots to the groin are rare, and that makes them memorable. Weird, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It is. It is weird. And tis weird, tis wild. Nutty tis. There you go. It's nutty tis. Hey, let's go to baseball. And as was predicted here on whatever the show is called now, we knew something like this was going to happen, and it did. And didn't come at a worse time. Hi there. Can we stand the test of time here? Thank you, boys. Major League Baseball scheduled to kick off the 2021 season on Thursday, April 1st, or in just 66 days. Yet the rules for the upcoming year are just now coming into place. Well, earlier today, the league informed teams that the Major League Baseball Players Association had rejected a proposal that would have installed the universal DH in exchange for an expanded postseason and additional money. So says John Heyman of MLB Network. Now, what does that mean? We know what you got questions. So we'll give you some answers. Why did the players reject? Well, the exact parameters of the proposal, very much unclear, but it's fair to presume that the expanded postseason, and specifically the broadcasting rights to that very thing, is worth more to the league and the owners than the universal DH is to the players. After all, teams tend to treat the DH as a low-skill position. Those 15 new starting jobs would not necessarily result in rampant spending. The additional money being offered to players is a tactic omission on the league's part. The league reportedly was close to selling broadcast rights to the additional playoff round to ESPN in December, according to the New York Post. That deal is slated to begin next year, 2022. Now, your second question. Will 2021 have pitchers hitting in 10-team playoffs again? Well, if no agreement can be reached between now and the regular season, then the season will be played under the terms of the current CBA. Collective bargaining agreement. That means only the American League, would have a DH, and only 10 teams would make the playoffs. In other words, things would return to a static normality. but it's unclear if the two sides will continue to negotiate on proposals to incorporate the universal DH and expanded playoffs, likely to 14 teams in time for the regular season, but hey, that can still happen, can it? But what does this mean for the CBA? Well, the league will have time to push for the expanded postseason as part of the upcoming CBA talks. The current CBA is set to expire on December 1st of this year. Now, given the at times contentious nature between the sides, a labor stoppage ahead of or in lieu of the 2022 season still appears possible, of course. It's possible the COVID-19 pandemic and the financial losses incurred could force both sides to make a deal, lest they risk 3 consecutive compromise seasons. Stay tuned. This is going to get weirder and weirder as we go along, or wilder and wilder, depending on your point of view. Anyway, we'll have a couple more little headline grabbers in a moment, but let's get to the scores, shall we? And as usual, or as always, as I pick up the sponsorship tag, all the scores, including our scoreboard, are sponsored in part by William Hill Sportsbook, who remind you to bet for yourself. And as always, we have that fun little disclaimer at the end. If you have a gambling problem or think you do, call 1-800-270-7170. Let's try that again. If you have a speaking problem, if you have a gambling problem or think you might have a gambling problem, call 1-800-270-7177. That's 1-800-270-7177. I'm going to try it a third time. 1-800-270-7177. Remember, 2 simple words. Bet responsibly. There you go. Okay, let us get to the William Hill Sportsbook scoreboard. We start off at the NBA, and we got 11:31, so they're still early in the fourth. The Golden State Warriors lead the Minnesota Timberwolves 93-85. 8:16 remaining in game with the Portland Trailblazers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Thunder lead the Trailblazers 105-98. You want some finals? We got them. Orlando Magic over the Charlotte Hornets 117-108. The Detroit Pistons almost blew it, but I caught it. Detroit Pistons beat the Philadelphia 76ers 119-104. Indiana Pacers over the Toronto Raptors 129-114. Brooklyn Nets finally back into the win column. They beat the Miami Heat 98-85. LA Lakers defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers 115-108. Denver Nuggets a 117-113 victory over the Dallas Maverick. Boston Celtics beat the Chicago Bulls 119-103. Kings Grizzlies, Spurs Pelicans. Those fine folks were enjoying, or not necessarily enjoying, they just didn't play because of the pandemic. Okay, that was the pro side. Let's go over to the college side. College hoops. That's right, college hoop time now. And wow. College basketball, I mean, I'm just going to say it. Wow. That's the one word I say with respect. Just wow. And here's why I state the W word many times. With Michigan pausing for 2 weeks, that's now back to a controversy as several students are saying, wait a minute, let's get back to playing, shall we? Well, they're going to continue the talk, but the folks that run the school are saying, hey, we've had some COVID issues. We got to pause. So 2 weeks of a pause has caused about 4 games to be canceled, postponed, however you want to say it. Let's get you to the scoreboard, and we'll tell you what we mean. Pushing. And again, I'm hoping the tarp holds up, because right now it's just being held up by bricks. Bricks should not be moved by wind. At least these bricks. Anyway, we're going to put some screws on it and get a couple more tarps and get it all done by the weekend. Everything's going to be kosher and copa. Okay, here we go. 8th ranked Virginia, an 81-58 winner over Syracuse, and 11th ranked West Virginia, an 88-87 winner over Texas Tech. Those are our games. It's amazing what you learn. Okay, let's go on. Continue. B1 with Mersey Dote and Dosey Dote. Okay, we got some ladies basketball to talk about. We do so with the scores. And anyway, let's go to it, shall we? Yes, sir, we shall. And we do. That's just part of the tarp. 14th ranked Ohio State beat 7th ranked Maryland 88-86. 22nd ranked Georgia over 19th ranked Arkansas 75-73. And 17th ranked DePaul, Linda Steele's alma mater, and Xavier, their game has been postponed. We're now at midnight, which means about this time I expound on what's coming up tonight on Lost Playing the Interwebs. It's our duty here. We inform you, then we take you to the corner bar and we tell you, of course, what's coming up on Nick's show tonight. And is there going to be a stream of consciousness tonight? Leave us to find out. Anyway, let's go with what we got and got with what we call here. And right now, as a matter of fact, Lost Playing the Interwebs, it's a rare whiskey review, an impeachment rant, and Twitter loves kids' lawsuits. Wow. You might want to drink some apple whiskey from Crown Royal or get your favorite whiskey imbibement and give the humble Minnesota attorney Nick Rekieta a watch and a listen. He is damn good at what he does, and he'll prove it to you tonight again with another Monday night edition of Lost Playing the Interwebs, a rare review of whiskey. More on the second impeachment of former President Donald Trump. And Twitter does love kids' lawsuits, don't they? It's all tonight. In fact, right now, they're 2 minutes into the broadcast. Nick Rekieta, Minnesota attorney at law. That's right. The real-life version of Harvey Birdman. Harvey Birdman, attorney at law. Yeah. Okay, so we'll talk about that. So we gave him the plug. That was nice. It was nice to give him a plug. A lot of people want to give him something else, but we can't say that. Okay, let's go completely back in the middle of cycle. Give you some NHL hockey action. Then we'll go back to some headlines, give you the biggest NBA disappointments thus far. In the meantime, in the between time, let's take you right now to NHL hockey action for tonight. We can't play the actual theme, but we'll just play this anyway. All right. Should we get to it? We got some hockey headlines too. And again, all of our sports scores sponsored by William Hill Sportsbook. Remember, bet on yourself. And if you have a little gambling problem, call 1-800-270-7177, 1-800-270-7177. One game in the NHL. It's in the early stages of the third. It's the Vancouver Canucks and the Ottawa Senators. The Canucks lead the Senators 4-1. And you can check out that game on NHL Network. What fun. Yes. We do have, I guess we can say one slight, well, we have a cancellation or a postponement. But we got more to talk about today. Well, actually, this was January 23rd, so this probably doesn't count. I'll just talk about it anyway. San Jose Sharks will have two of their home games moved to Glendale, Arizona in the beginning of February as a result of a contact sports ban in place in Santa Clara County, where the team's normal home is located. The two games on February 1st and 3rd are against the Vegas Golden Knights. The Sharks will play their games in Yellow River Arena, the home of the Arizona Coyotes. San Jose is not the first sports franchise that this contact sports ban has affected. Back when it was first announced in November, it ended up temporarily displacing the San Francisco 49ers. That team also had to move to Arizona to play the remainder of their home games. This order was announced as an enhancement of local COVID-19 guidelines in a response to an uptick in coronavirus cases and hospitalizations in the area. That trend has yet to truly slow down, which is why the Sharks are now left without a home arena in California. Ouch. Also, to point of fact, and to fact to point, the NHL decided that, with good reason. Well, actually, no, not in good reason, because this is old news, guys, because that's already happened. So let's just fault that our own here. Okay, so yes, we're done with the NHL news. Yes, we are. We got about a little bit of time. We got till about, let's see, we started this about 35. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, about 12:20. So let's get to it and give you the NBA disappointments so far. And here we go. Believe it or not, we've reached the quarter pole of the shortened 2020-2021 NBA season. And in that time, a number of surprising storylines have taken shape. Most are of the happy surprise, like how hard LeBron is playing when we all figured he would approach his 18th regular season on autopilot, or the borderline superstar ascension of Jaylen Brown, or the ridiculed 2020 rookie class almost immediately acquitting itself of the low ceiling label. But today, take a look at the most disappointing disappointing developments to start this strange season. So without mentioning the constant COVID-19 interruptions, let's get going. Here are the top 5 NBA biggest disappointments. The Pelicans opted not to extend Lonzo Ball's rookie contract this past offseason for a pretty simple reason. They don't know if they want to be in the ball business long term. They need more time to evaluate, and this season is that time with Ball set to hit restricted free agency this summer. The experiment has once again failed. Entering playoff Monday, Ball is shooting 38% from the field and just 29% from three-point range on over 7 attempts per game. You hate to boil his game down to just shooting, but in the context of his place going forward, Pelicans, it's the difference between him and a useful role player and a drag on potential of Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram as a star duo in need of proper spacing. Ball has improved as a three-point shooter through the first 3 seasons of his career, going from 30 to 33% to a 38% boom per cleaning the glass. The improvement looked real. Ball overhauled his cockeyed mechanics and shot with confidence, with a little aggression on the side. He couldn't hit anything in the bubble, but the hope was that this would prove to be a blip on the radar. It hasn't. And how about this? When Klay Thompson went down with a season-ending Achilles tear just as training camp was about to open, the Warriors decided to use their $17.2 million trade exemption to acquire Kelly Oubre Jr. from the Thunder, including luxury tax penalties. The Warriors are paying north of $80 million for Oubre this season, and while nobody expects him to replace Thompson, it's not really working. Add in the rookie mistakes and limitations of James Wiseman, and the Warriors' starting lineup has been so much of a disaster, there's a MASH unit named after him. How bad are we talking? Entering Monday, the Stephon Curry, Oubre, Andre Wiggins, Draymond Green, Wiseman unit has been outscored by 73 points in 161 minutes. Now that, my friends, is embarrassing. That is the worst point differential for any five-man unit in the league that has played even a modicum of minutes together. It's an alarming stat, particularly for the fact that Steph Curry alone has been a plus-minus god over the years. You would think that would be a five-man unit in the league. He could lift to at least passable levels. But one of the most frustrating parts of watching Golden State starters is that Curry accounts for just a 23% usage rate when he is playing with the starters, which is roughly the same amount of control that Elfrid Payton gets over the Knicks offense. In short, Curry's just running around while lesser players control the ball and ultimately take shots when it's clear to anyone watching. At the best and most consistent shots are generated when Curry's attacking with the ball in his hands. It's strange when you think about it. And how about this? Yusuf Nurkic has a broken wrist and will be reevaluated in 5 weeks. CJ McCollum has a broken foot and will be reevaluated in a month. Now, there is no way to overstate what a massive bummer this is for the Blazers, who appear, on paper, to have had their best shot at competing for a finals berth in the Damian Lillard era. Doesn't mean the Blazers are done. Far from it. Lillard has proven he can carry a team, and if he can keep the Blazers afloat for the next month or so, perhaps there still is some magic that could be in a range of a low playoff seed. Remember, 10 teams get in with the expanded play-in series. When McCollum and Nurk return for a late surge, this could be just what the doctor ordered. But that's still going to put them against a great team round, and if they get that far, and that's also assuming the front end of these timelines, again, it doesn't say Nurk is going to be back in 5 weeks or McCollum is going to be back in a month. It says they'll be reevaluated. It could be a lot longer, even all season, before we see these guys again. So, wow. Speaking of gut punch injuries, Markelle Fultz is out again. He was trending towards becoming an actually good NBA basketball player rather than one whose bar was so low that, boom. He tore his ACL 8 games into a season. He's out again. His shooting was still way below average to start the season, but he at least looked capable from three-point range, and his mid-range pull-up looked very smooth for a guy as strong as he is with the ball, bullying his way into the lane and to the rim with an offbeat cadence and savvy court sense, not to mention being a strong, versatile defender. Fultz's lack of three-point range was becoming an acceptable trade-off. And, how about this? Excuse him more. Blake Griffin, once as high-flying an act as the NBA had to offer, is yet to record his dunk this season. He looks like he would be seriously challenged to hit a 20-inch vertical. He looks slow and old in recent years. His becoming a legitimate three-point shooter felt like development that could perhaps catapult him back to all-star levels. Now it's the only thing keeping him in the league, as he simply can't generate any lift or explosion. And even the threes aren't anything to speak of. He's shooting just 32% for a season, and even that number is small sample, skewed after he began the season 9 for his first 38, 23% attempts from the deep. Along the same lines, Russell Westbrook, though he's only played 7 games for the Wizards, looks absolutely nothing like his old self. But he does look like his old self when he misfires away from mid-range, where he's taken 54% of his shots, despite converting them at just a 33% clip. Westbrook can't get to the rim like he used to, and his 41.8 EFG per clean the glass puts him in the 17th percent league-wide. I guess you could say in some cases things just ain't looking well or good. Okay, we're at 15 minutes past the hour of midnight. You're watching the You're watching Sports Final. I keep don't wanting to use the old name, but it's just Sports Final. Thank God we finally decided on a name after about four name changes. We decided just Sports Final would be good. Anyway, it is time to start getting picky and get you some media bites from the world of sports from our friends at Awful Announcing. Now, the Spurs Pelicans have become the 22nd NBA game postponed, with neither team having 8 players available. Ouch. We'll talk about that for a moment. AT&T, fine folks, may have just found a investor for their DirecTV service, which they bought a month ago, in a group called TPG, but it's only for a minority stake rather than a full sale. In other words, they wanted filet mignon, but TPG just got themselves some cube steak. That's right. Long-running storyline over the past year has been AT&T's attempts to find a buyer for DirecTV, which they purchased for $49 billion back in 2015. In May, there were reports on how the AT&T shareholders were putting the company under pressure to sell the DirecTV unit, and in August, reports were that they might sell the whole unit for only $20 billion. Well, now it appears they're close to a sale, but for a minority stake rather than controlling. Here's more from a report from Reuters in a piece first posted on Friday. Private equity firm TPG has entered into exclusive talks to acquire a minority stake in AT&T's satellite TV division, DirecTV, in a deal that would allow the U.S. wireless carrier to trim its net debt of close to $150 billion. People familiar with the matter said on Friday. The exact price TPG is willing to pay could not be learned, but sources say the deal could value DirecTV at more than $15 billion, were the negotiations to conclude successfully. A deal could also be announced in the coming weeks, added sources, who requested that fun little thing we call anonymity, because the matter is, of course, confidential. Now, the advanced talks with TPG are a culmination of an auction that AT&T ran for DirecTV for several months. The deal would crystallize a financial hit for AT&T, which valued DirecTV at about $6 to $7 billion, including debt, when it agreed to acquire it in 2014. So that's an unfortunate downturn from what DirecTV was valued at when AT&T bought it. But cable and satellite landscape has changed significantly since then, and the sale of a minority rather than full controlling might actually work for AT&T in the long term. If there's some rebound for DirecTV, and that's not necessarily out of the question, it's worth mentioning that their main satellite competitor, Dish, has become embroiled in so many carriage disputes that they're hardly a reliable option. and that their CEO has called a merger with DirecTV inevitable. So there are some potential gains for DirecTV if that happens. Stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of fun in the next few weeks. I just have a feeling. Okay, what else is going on? Keep up there. As you know, NBCSN is about to, as you know, well, let's try that again. NBC Universal announced plans to pull the plug on its NBCSN or NBC Sports Network, with the bulk of their live programming going to their sister outlet, USA Network. Well, we got more for you. You're going to love this. When NBC launched Peacock last summer, it began to roll live sports content into the platform, starting with the Premier League. Prior to the start of the 2020-2021 Premier League season, NBC announced that all of the content that used to be available on the NBC Sports Gold Premier League Pass will now be available on the premium side of Peacock. Now, at the time, it seemed inevitable that many of the other Gold sports-specific pass services would also be rolled. Sure enough, Monday, NBC announced prior to the start of the 2021 IndyCar season that non-race IndyCar content will be moved from the Gold IndyCar Pass to Peacock. Of note, no live races will be on Peacock, with all this season airing on either NBC or NBCSN to comply with the contract. But here we go. Peacock. Here's the blurb from the NBC release. Peacock Premium will provide fans in the U.S. with live coverage of 2021 IndyCar qualifying and practice sessions, as well as coverage surrounding the 105th running of the Indianapolis 500, Indy Light races, race day warm-ups, and full event replays of IndyCar races in 2021. Peacock Premium will surround the 105th Indy 500 with exclusive practice and qualifying coverage, as well as ancillary content. Yeah. There you go. And this is far from a surprise. It makes all the sense in the world when the launch of Peacock and the expected shutdown of NBCSN are considered. IndyCar's deal with NBC only runs through the end of this year. And if the two sides agree to a deal past this year, Peacock exclusive content is going to be a significant part of that agreement. Converting those IndyCar Pass subscribers into Peacock subscribers could have longer-term benefits for NBC when you consider the additional content included with Peacock. Both sports and non-sports, compared to the IndyCar Pass alone, it's at least conceivable that some of those subscribers could stick around past the end of the season. IndyCar gets a TV deal with a different company, whereas that relationship would completely be over if those fans were only paying for IndyCar Pass content and, well, nothing else. Sounds stirring, don't you think? Let me see if we can hit that just a bit. Can we tip that just a bit? How's it? Perfect. That way, if I bend, everybody will watch. Not me bending, of course. Excuse me. Budweiser has joined other Super Bowl sponsors who will not be doing any ads for the Super Bowl. Instead, they'll focus on COVID-19 vaccine awareness. That's right. While Anheuser-Busch InBev will still be represented with various brands during the Super Bowl commercial breaks, for the first time in 37 years, the company's flagship Budweiser brand will not be one of them. The New York Times reports Budweiser's focus will instead be on promoting the awareness of COVID-19 vaccine, which includes a digital ad narrated by Rashida Jones. The advertising budget for the traditional Bud ad is also being to the Ad Council and COVID Collaborative. Budweiser is the latest prominent brand that won't run an ad this year, joining Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and Hyundai. A bunch of other advertisers won't have ads this year on CBS, including Little Caesars, Avocados from Mexico, Sabra Hummus, Facebook, and Olay. At the beginning of December, CBS claimed that roughly 80% of its ad inventory was sold out. Now, We question that. And we do question it. Like I'm questioning sanity. Intercom, or as the radio company used to be known as CBS Radio, Intercom is looking to launch a gambling-focused audio network, starting with stations in Denver and Los Angeles. And we're going to explain it to you. Following the U.S. Supreme Court May 2018 decision to strike down PASPA after years of pressure and pave the way for expanded legalized sports betting, countless sports media companies have dove into gambling in a big way, from accepting gambling-focused ads to creating all sorts of gambling-focused content. The latest is radio giant Intercom, or as they like to be now known as Radio.com. As per John Oren of Sports Business Journal, Intercom is looking to do this with 2 sports gambling-focused networks at the start, with certain portions of their content also syndicated on other Intercom-owned sports stations like 97.1 The Ticket. They'll launch and here's the press release. Intercom will launch a sports gambling-focused network called BetQL Audio Network, relaunching Denver's KEZWAM as the Bet 1430, and planning to launch in LA via 93.1 HD3, currently KCBS FM. Intercom will build the network around 2 daily shows, You Better You Bet with Nick Costos and Ken Barkley, and BetQI Daily with Joe Ostrowski and Russ Tucker. Intercom says the Costos Barkley show logged 670,000 monthly downloads since the start of the 2020 NFL season. All BetQL programming also be available via radio.com. Some programming will be featured on Intercom's other 39 sports stations like New York's WFAN, Chicago's WSCR, and Philadelphia's WIP-FM. It's interesting, Intercom doing this with full stations rather than just certain shows, an area they've already explored. It may be interesting to see how these stations perform in ratings versus already established conventional sports stations in those markets. Those haven't exactly avoided gambling, but they haven't necessarily dove into it the way this new approach looks to. It'll be worth keeping an eye on the reception for this plan and for the reception of the shows when they're featured in other Intercom markets. If it goes well, it may be another step towards more extensive gambling content in sports media. But if the ratings tank, it might slow the roll down a little bit. Hey, we got 12:26. We're rolling on strong, kids. We still got the shouts and the scores and a whole lot more. We got a lot for you coming up. How much of a lot? Oh, you're going to have fun with this, kids. And speaking of Peacock, the NBC streaming service, well, as you know, NBCSN is going to be kicked to the trash can. Their sports, the bulk of their sports coverage will be moved to the USA Network, which will go back to its USA Sports brand. Yeah, they mothballed it a long time ago. Now it's going to come back. Well, we were all wondering what's going to happen with WWE's NXT, and I said that they'll probably go to Fox Sports 2. Well, we have another player and a bigger shock to report. The shock comes from the WWE itself. As reported by the Wall Street Journal's Joe Flint, WWE will shut down its WWE Network streaming service on March 18th, and all programming will be licensed to NBC Universal streaming service, Peacock. That's right. The WWE Network name will live on at its new home with wrestling content branded on Peacock under its own category. It'll take place for next WrestleMania, scheduled for April 10th and 11th, which will presumably compel wrestling fans and new customers to sign up for Peacock to get their WWE fix. Now, for Peacock, adding WWE content arguably helps the service stand out from a crowd of streaming competitors such as Netflix, Hulu, and Disney+. Peacock executive Rick Cordella announced via NBC Universal's official announcement quote. We are thrilled to be the exclusive home for WWE Network and its millions of fans across the country. WWE Network is a transformative addition to the platform and complements Peacock's massive catalog of iconic movies and shows, as well as the best live news and sports from NBC, Universal, and beyond. Now, according to the official release, WWE programming on Peacock would include all live pay-per-view events, beginning with Fastlane on Sunday, March 21st. Replays of Raw, SmackDown, and NXT will also be available on the service, along with shows like WWE 205 Live and NXT UK. Additionally, original series will be produced for the platform, such as Steve Austin, Broken Skull Sessions, WWE Icons, and Undertaker Last Ride. WWE will also produce annual original documentaries for Peacock beginning in 2022, accompanying its other documentary series like WWE 24 and WWE Untold. Man, compared to all this, and I thought literally we'd have a boring day, but nope, not today. Nope. This is going to be some fun. Hatty, hatty, ho, ho. Hoppity, hoppity, hoo. Okay, that is it for the media bites, except for one that's not sports related. But after 42 years of being Chicago's very own and then America's very own, WGN America, which formerly was just a rebroadcast of WGN Channel 9 in Chicago before they got rid of all the Chicago stuff from sports to news. Well, as of March, WGN America will be fading away into the light of I should write this, I should write something better than this. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is WGN America will, just like NBCSN, go into that sweet good night after 42 years. As their owners, Nexstar Incorporated, or Nexstar Media Group, as they're affectionately called, will be changing and rebranding the once mega-watched Superstation, now just a general entertainment network or entertainment channel, into News Nation. Little by little, your 24/7 news outlet. That's right, another news channel, but this time with a twist. No opinions, no talking heads, just straight out news. So this will happen on March the 1st. WGN America will be signing off, and News Nation will take over with a 5-hour morning newscast and, of course, news programming, including the debut and the rebirth and return of Ashley Banfield to a still unnamed 10 o'clock interview show, or news and interview show, News and View, I'll call it. They're going to do what is known in some businesses as a slow rollout, but look for News Nation to go 24/7 before the year end. Just remember, March 1st, WGN America becomes News Nation, the newest news network. Okay, we've done that. We've done the media stuff, and now there's one thing that ain't changing on us. We wrap you up with the scoreboard, but before we do, hello to our friends on Facebook, Twitter, Minds, Gab Social, Instagram, TikTok, and every other place in the world. How y'all doing? Great to have you. Great to see you. Now, it's time for the last strains. It's time for us to give you the scoreboard. And the scoreboard, for the third time, we guys do it, sponsored in part by William Hill Sportsbook. Bet on yourself, but please bet responsibly. And if you, by any chance, have a gambling problem or think you are about to, call toll-free 1-800-270-7177. That's 1-800-270-7177. We finally done all that? Good. Let's do all this. Only one soccer game going on. Spain's La Liga. Athletic Bilbao got the win over Getafe by a score of 5-1. Ooh, scary. Okay, let's and that's it. My God, only one thing. All the rest are like butter and bread. Dear Lord, we only had one score. Wow. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for us. Shocked and stunned that I am. We went through literally an hour. We were supposed to be 45 minutes, but we went through an hour, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Thanks, everybody, for watching the madness. We're back tomorrow, Wednesday. Well, that'll be debatable, but someone will be here to do the sportscast on Wednesday. Everybody, please enjoy your evening and your early morning, and we'll see you tomorrow. This has been a presentation of Mystifying Creativity Productions in association with the L2C Media Network and L2C Sports for Sports Final. And for everybody involved in this, I'm Steve Baxley. Please be careful out there. There is a winter storm or winter weather advisory that continues until tomorrow, I do believe, until about 4 p.m. Can we have that before we signify the end? Let's get that lovely little thing up before we say our good nights. My cat just scared the you-know-what of me. Hey, Uno. Hi. Hi, Uno. Okay, let's give you a little weather update, if we can, guys, before we leave the air. Before we leave the air, yes, we do have a winter weather advisory in the mid-Michigan area. Barry, Branch, hi there. Barry, Branch, Fred, and Thelma. It popped up just as we went to another thing here. So if we got that opportune, thank you. Can you give us the full thing, full aspect? Please, somebody, please. Here we go. Here in Michigan, we do have a winter weather advisory for Barry, Branch, Calhoun, Clinton, Eaton, Gratiot, Hillsdale, Ingham, Ionia, Jackson, Lenawee, Livingston, Mount Calm, Shiawassee, and Washtenaw. We're looking for 3 to 5 inches of snow. It's in effect from 7 p.m. Monday to 4 p.m. Tuesday. And oh boy, this is not going to be an easy night, but we are going to say good night. Be safe. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow, I hope. Good night, everybody.